desiring security and feeling insecurity is the same thing. And I was like, oh, damn. It kind of like something clicked in that. And I was thinking about that, like,
Mm.
because it's like, yeah, it's so true. Like, this life is technically insecure. You know what I mean? Like, anything can happen at any time, right? A meteor could strike right this very moment during this podcast.
Welcome to the Better Man Podcast with Ivan and Suman.
Welcome back to the Better Man Podcast.
With Ivan and some head.
Hey,
It's
that's what she
Sumed.
said.
Sumed, guys. It's Sumed. Get it straight. All right.
Straight up.
Oh, dude, I missed that cup. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, this used to be your favorite cup, right?
Yeah, because it's
The
yellow
one.
and it looks like a bumblebee cave.
Bumblebee, right? Yeah, you liked it because you sting people, right?
Yeah, dude. I'm a triggering as a person, dude. I'm not feeling so good
Yeah.
today, by the way, guys. I'm not pumped, you know. I'm a little bit more monotone, you know.
Yeah. I've been feeling a little bit like that too, actually, recently. Like, there's something really funky with the energy. And it's definitely a collective energy of collective suffering, uh, purging of old, beginning of new. With every dark age, there's a golden age right afterwards. So that's why we're calling all light workers.
You know, Sumer, do you know April Elizabeth?
Yes.
Yeah? Oh, yeah, you like her
Yeah.
videos?
Yeah, I know her from
Yeah.
Gaia, and
Oh,
yeah, I
real?
know
She's
her.
on Gaia.
Yeah, she's on Gaia,
I
and
know.
yeah, she channels aliens as well. She's a really she's a sweetheart.
She's in contact with the Pleiadians and the
Mm,
Galactic Federation of Light.
yeah.
For some of y'all who don't know that, it's like the government, but for outer space and shit like that.
Yeah.
It's a real
Outer
thing.
space government.
It's a real thing. Have you ever had any
The
help from them?
council. Yeah, I have. Once I was meeting with like a specific light worker, and then she helped me get into contact with them. And a lot of what they were saying was very accurate at the time. I think it was like a year and a half ago, maybe.
Mm.
So, yeah, it's super interesting because there are all these different people who become these channels for these light beings, right? And like everybody has the ability to do that, but just it might not be in this incarnation or this lifetime, right? So everybody has a potential to be a light being, but it's just maybe it's not going to be in your lifetime if you're listening, or maybe it is. Like, you would know that for sure. And with the ascending energy of the planet, you can either try to beat them or you can try to transcend them. Like, that's kind of my approach. It's like,
Transcend it.
yeah.
Very interestingly, you could also transcend your purpose. I know there's many people here on earth and they're like, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? What's my purpose?
Yeah.
Right? It's such a common asked question.
Yeah.
Even for somebody who knows their purpose, someone like me, I still ask myself that question, right? Because it's something that you continuously discover and continuously bring in new awareness. It's like, what is God? Well, there's always something new you're bringing into this idea of
Yeah.
divinity.
It's also getting much more comfortable with the idea of what your purpose is. I think that's also a part of the evolution, because it's almost like a zero gravity kind of effect that it has on people, right? It's like this kind of magnetic pull towards their golden north. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things for me. It's like a lot of people, especially people that I was in contact with for the first period of my life up until this year, or like feel like a couple years ago or whatever kind of thing. Up until that point, like I'm such an abstract person to them. And a lot of people, when they see me on social media, they're like, this guy can't be real. This guy's a
Yeah.
troll, right? This guy's a liar. This guy's a phony, right? Because the
Yeah.
things that I say and do are so outside of their reality, especially
Yeah.
for who they think that I am, right?
Bro,
It's
yeah.
just challenging their beliefs 24/7,
I, f-
365, money stays
I
on
feel that
money.
way sometimes too, man. Maybe it might be a Scorpio thing. It's definitely like there's an element of like feeling like you are your abstract thinking is a almost like outlandish for the general public
Oh, it
or
is,
like
bro.
people who
It's
reach
it's
out.
not something I think. I mean,
You
people tell me. And they send me
Yeah,
messages.
yeah.
You know, like the other day, I got sent a message. I got so I asked somebody if like it was my political posts that were bothering them because I'm fucking
Yeah.
open with that. And
Someone did that
people
to
were
me
like,
recently.
no, they were like, yeah, your posts don't bother me. It's just sometimes, you for a good portion of your post, you're negative, and but you're also like promoting like divinity, and you call yourself a life guru, stuff like that. And I was just like, this guy don't get it. This guy doesn't get it. Like, you just don't get it. But I told him, that's an interesting perspective. I appreciate you sharing that, right? But like, I'm not even negative, dog. Like, I'm not draining anybody's energy. In fact, I'm giving them more energy.
Mm. Yeah. I think people are a little bit confused about what they mean by that term negative. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the fact is, right, you're sharing what you believe to be the truth and your own perspective and your own political views, right? It's like it doesn't have anything to do with them, but it triggers them enough to make a comment about it. So that says something, right?
You know what's
As
interesting
well.
too? How, let's just say, fun is negative in comparison to creativity,
Mm,
right? Because
compared to.
creativity is at a higher scale and vibration than
Mm,
fun,
right.
but it's still negative, right? So I kind of see myself as like that, like a little bit in that sense. But what do you think, dog? Do you think I'm like fucking negative and shit?
Definitely not. I think that, my feed is filled with all sorts of weird weird things all the time, like it's just like I think the main thing is like, you know, people are choosing to become newscasters on social media now.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like there's so many fact checkers, you know what I mean? And it's like we don't know what is real or what isn't. We're just kind of going by our own truth. It's like that's the thing, right? Like we can only go by what we think is true, not what like social media is changing the way that people perceive truth, right? Because someone can make a post and it can be like a shock therapy, and repost it at the same time. I don't know exactly for you what I would say. Uh, I think it's pretty legit. Even if any of this Q and on stuff is, real, even if 1% is real, that means that, 20,000 years of history was hypnotized for so long, and so it's a big deal for people who,
Mm.
really believe in that conspiracy. Because I had someone reaching out to me. They're like, be careful. One of my, homies, got uh, walked into a pizza place with a gun or some shit because he was so offended by this Pizzagate thing, right? And so I was like, oh man, you took it personally, right? Your friend did that. And so, you
Stupid.
know,
Stupid,
that's,
man.
yeah. So it's like, yeah, but people think it's like rebellious or anarchy or violence or whatever, but it's not. It's just like our words can be the weapon. There doesn't need to be violence involved in
For
any way
sure,
like
bro.
that. You know what I
For
mean?
sure,
Yeah.
bro. For sure.
Yeah.
And for sure, I am stepping more into my purpose a lot more, you know, and
Yeah.
something I'm very happy about is that I don't let people sway me away from my truth.
Yeah.
You know, whatever they're saying, things like I don't even have a need to, you know, explain it to them. I don't have a
Yeah.
need to be like try to justify or try to like defend myself. Like
Mm.
quite literally, you don't even have the vocabulary to comprehend it for me to, if I were to explain it to you, you quite literally don't even have the mental capacity. It's like I'm speaking to a
Mm.
kid, you know, like kids, they say dumb shit, you know, you know, you be driving on the road, you're taking like 3 hours and the kid's like, oh, why don't we take a road where we get to the destination instantly? You know, they can't even
Yeah.
conceptualize it, you know?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah. And the thing is, people also don't do their own research, I feel like, as well. Like, you know what I mean? They just kind of leave it up to fact checkers and people. Like, I that thing disturbs me a lot. Like the fact checking that's going on by random, you know, like
Mhm.
I don't know why that's so prevalent now. You know what I mean? But anyway, you know, for people
Yeah, go
who
ahead.
want to, you know, become much more in tune with the 5D and like be,
Mhm.
if we are going to be like way showers for the new path, the new golden paradigm, you could say, like I would definitely say is to purge the old and embrace the new.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And the thing that I came to this realization, man, and it was very powerful. I was like, I'm gonna kill my old self, you know what I mean? And it's kind of negative vocabulary as well, like killed my old self. It's like what I realized is like that's my younger self. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it's like old self makes it seem like it's a ghost or something, you know what I mean? It's like an apparition like following me around. But yeah, it's my it's my younger self that needs much more love and acceptance, and it needs to
Mhm.
like feel that sense of wonder again of
Mhm.
really creating.
Mhm.
Opposite of depression is expression, right? So
Yeah, yeah. You know, recently I was having these like I don't know, they were like you can call them like panic attacks. I wasn't like panicking and shit, you know, but it was like a panic attack. It was like these fear attacks, these like anger attacks, like
mm,
psychosis, like someone who you're like, oh, they're psychotic. I was looking
mm,
like a psychotic person
yeah,
because for so long my expression was denied and the ability to react to the world around me was denied. So it's like let's just say you get hit, right? It's gonna bother you, right? You're gonna be mad, right? Well, yo, did you fall asleep? Oh,
what? Oh no, it's my internet connection is unstable,
dude,
so my
I look and
phone's
I look and you're like, I'm like, what? This guy's asleep. But yeah, so I don't know, like maybe this happened to you, but they're like,
Hmm.
don't feel that. Don't do that. No, don't. You're not allowed to be angry. Oh,
Oh.
don't give me that face. Oh, no, don't start crying. I'll give you a reason to cry, right? You know, these are all
Mm.
like ways in which we sort of deny,
Yeah, they're like subtle remarks, but they still hit you. You know what I mean? They're
and
like,
they're essentially saying like your expression is not valued, right? And then
yeah.
you're storing it. I had so much fucking trauma stored in my fucking navel chakra, in my core, you know? It's at my
Mm.
core that it's stored, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I just had to start letting it out and shit. And it was like, I mean, it was wild. It was fucking crazy as fuck. But I mean, you
Yeah.
know, this kind of stuff is going to be starting to happen for a lot of people, like light workers and such, because you know the world has deprived you of your uniqueness.
Mm. You're right. Yeah. I recently heard this thing from Alan Watts when he was speaking, and he said something like, desiring security and feeling insecurity is the same thing. And I was like, oh, damn. It kind of like something clicked in that, and I was thinking about that, like,
Mm.
because it's like, yeah, it's so true. Like, this life is technically insecure. You know what I mean? Like, anything can happen at any time, right? A meteor could strike right at this very moment during this podcast. But memento mori, motherfuckers, like, you know, remember that you're gonna die, and
Uh-huh.
it gives you a sense of urgency, but also it gives you like a sense of like, a sense like, okay, I'm on purpose. And again, coming back to purpose, right? It's like, it's kind of this stoic philosophy, right? Of like, if this was your last meal, how much more would you cherish it, and how much more would you love it? So there's a kind of a great concept built. It might sound dark to certain people, like, oh yeah, we're gonna die, but it's like,
It's really
it's
not.
all, it's not, but it's really not. Yeah, exactly. And it's like the Stoics believed in like such great, you know, amazing virtues like wisdom, courage, truth, justice, all these things. And I think for people who are overly emotional, like, it can just help you not become, like, a lot of people think stoicism is in being emotionless, but that's not the truth. It is giving you a framework where you can regulate your emotions within that framework, right? And so if you have a set of values, now you can have your emotions with those, in those values. Like, if a value was like a little cookie jar, like the cookies inside, right, would be like the emotions.
You know, I think I want to like expand on what you said about stoicism. I think it's very
Yeah.
important for many people to begin to understand their low level emotions, right? They're the low level
Mm,
emotions, right? You
mm,
feel low. They're low in comparison to the middle and the high level emotions, right? But they're not bad just because they're low. You know what I mean? Your feet are the lowest part of your body. Doesn't mean they're fucking bad. I
doesn't
like
make
my
you
feet.
bad.
I like walking, okay?
Yeah.
I don't know about you. So look, so watch. I just connected this like feet thing and like lower level emotions, right? So
All right.
what are your feet? What are they helpful for? If you didn't have your feet, you wouldn't be able to what?
Mm, stand or be grounded.
Yeah, okay. Stand, base. There's a base.
I
Um,
stand for something. So maybe I thought you were gonna relate it back to values. Like, oh, I stand
oh,
for something. Like,
I,
maybe,
I was gonna
I don't know.
say that your feet help you get somewhere,
Yeah,
right?
it's travel. Yeah,
Yeah, even standing is like a somewhere, like
you know.
to stand. Anyway. Um,
Yeah, it's a vehicle. Yeah.
they guide you to where you need to go, right? Why do I say they guide? Because your feet come first, right?
Mm,
There's a lot of people who lead with their head because they're very like out of body. They're like, I've
mm.
seen it. It's fucking weird. They're like,
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
Certain people.
especially
Also,
in
they have
like,
the collapsed navels. Like, you see those people walking around with like that. That's like showing insecurity, right? It's like
mm,
people walk around like
I,
that,
I think it's more like what I'm
collapsed.
trying to portray is this. You see a lot in like Silicon Valley people, and if you
Yeah,
guys,
yeah, yeah. I
they,
know what you mean.
oh, let me try to get into it.
When you said Silicon Valley, I just
Like
got it.
this,
Yeah,
like this,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right. So it's not so much like this, where your shoulders are over. But anyway, okay,
And they
get back
always
in my chair.
talk like this, and no.
Oh yeah. So those people, they're not grounded, right? They're
Yeah.
disconnected from their bodies. But typically, um, it's normal to be guided by your feet, right? Now, your low level emotions, let's name a few: anger, shame, guilt, humiliation, hatred,
Fear. Yeah.
fear, depression, anxiety, anger, pride,
Jealousy.
jealousy,
Mm,
hopelessness, um,
yeah.
Desire,
frustration, despair, confusion.
frustration,
Yeah.
emptiness.
Mm.
Mm,
I would say emptiness could also be a good thing in terms of the Zen concept of what emptiness means. But yeah,
I guess
the way you're
going.
saying it, yeah,
I'm going more for the sense of like I want to feel better.
hollowness.
Unfulfilled
Right.
desires, right?
Yeah, I get
Addiction,
what you mean.
right? These are like some of the
Yeah.
low level emotions, right? And when you
Mm.
get them, what tends to happen? What's usually the first thing that people, you might know this, man. What's usually the first thing that people think right after they have a low level emotion interaction in their mind?
And this is bad that I have to get rid of it.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
exactly, right?
Yeah.
But instead, this is what I propose. Instead of denying an aspect of you, right? Because you're human, use your low level emotions as a guide for where you need to work on in your life. They
Mm.
are a compass. They're telling you where you need to work on yourself.
Yeah.
What aspects of you are you not integrating? Are you denying yourself certain things? Right? Are you denying yourself love? Are you denying yourself compassion? Are you denying yourself time? Are you denying yourself space? Right?
Mm. Yeah, and what parts of you are like also unlovable and that you feel are unlovable, and how can you give those parts much more love? So I feel like that's what shadow work is, right? We often repress things which we deny ourselves, and then we can point it out in others, and then we get triggered by that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, yeah, that's the real kind of shadow work, and it's super powerful. You know, I'm reminded by one of Julian's RSD Julian's videos where he was talking about like, what if we were growing up, right, and we had all these YouTube videos like saying how to be sad, 5,000 ways to be sad, you know, how to get the girl and be sad, like, you know, all these videos just saying that sadness is cool, you know, sadness is awesome. Like we would grow up not rejecting it, right? And then we would be like, oh, this is much more acceptable to feel this way.
You
And it
know,
would actually make us feel happy, right?
I don't think so. I don't like I mean, I get what he's trying to say, but it just like
Mm.
when I if you apply it to the way like it would actually work if they said that, well then sadness, the word sadness wouldn't have that meaning anymore, you
Right.
know.
It would change its meaning. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
But and also I kind of wanted to say that it is sort of popular to be sad these days. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Take like the emo trend, for instance.
A lot
Yeah.
of people they're seeing it as this sort of gateway towards getting attention.
Mm. Yeah, I see the popular, it's popularized now in rap nowadays too, which I find very surprising. Like kind of, you know, suicide boys kind of trend, you know,
Mm-hmm.
of that kind of rap,
Mm-hmm.
which
Who
is a
you?
lot more, yeah, you know, that kind of rap, like, you know, I don't know, like maybe Bones or maybe like Lil Peep, or like Juice World, you know, not Juice World
Juice
specifically, because I
WRLD for
do
sure
like
though.
how he
But he does
he
have a
he
lot
like
of.
opens up.
I still see the shadows in my room.
Is
You
it?
know, like
Yeah, exactly.
X as
Uh,
well. X
X
Tentacion.
as well, yeah. But see, I feel like these artists, they're like, you know, they're an expression of the collective as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like the reason that they blew up is because the collective is also experiencing that sadness, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's to say something about like the way humanity sort of reacts to this kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we make anything trendy, you know, it's gonna lose its kind of edge or magic to it. Like if we, because there's certain like rappers like Scarlord or whatever, and you like, yeah, like made it like screamo rap a thing again, you know, and so I think that with anything, if it becomes trendy, it becomes a little bit problem. I sound like such a hipster, bro. Like if it becomes trendy, like it becomes an issue. Like even spirituality, right?
Mm-hmm.
People just are spiritual just to be trendy, just to like wear it as something. Yeah, I think so. I think that a lot of people,
Yeah, I get
they
what you're
just,
saying. Yeah, something
it's
like
like, oh, I'm gonna join the witchy trend, or I'm just gonna do a cult because it looks cool, as aesthetic.
for sure.
You know
All
what I
these
mean?
girls saying they're witches and shit. Bitch, get a fucking spell. Let me see your fucking spells, bitch. Let me see your fucking potions. You let me do some
Yeah.
fucking tarot card reading on me, bitch. You can't do that shit. You ain't a witch. My girl, she's a
Right.
witch. She a real witch.
Mhm. Yeah, you can definitely differentiate from the fake witches and
Oh,
the real
and then
witches.
fucking, I remember like
I
in
like rock.
middle school, people would wear like rosaries. People would wear like a Jesus cross, like little like a golden cross of Jesus or whatever stuff like that. It's just like
Yeah. Yeah, that became trendy too. Yeah, the
using
rosary
Jesus
beads
for
and stuff. Yeah.
fashion.
Yeah. Um, I love bad witches. That's my fucking problem.
All right, I want to give you guys a tip. I love bad witches. I want to give you guys a tip, an exercise you can actually do for going deeper into your shadow side, right?
Mm,
So
yeah.
write down somebody that you fucking hate, right? You probably already got the image in your mind. It could be a couple people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now begin to write everything that's wrong with this person. Begin to write everything that's wrong with this person.
Like
Why?
stream of consciousness.
Everything that's wrong with them. Why do you hate
I've actually
them,
done this
dislike you? How they
before.
make you feel?
Yeah.
And then remove their name and write my shadow side at the top. That's your shadow self,
Ooh,
homie.
damn, that's powerful. My shadow side is, yeah. Damn.
This is wild as fuck,
That's right.
right? Oh no,
Yeah,
dude.
that is wild. Yeah.
Yo, by the way, I want how have you been working out the workouts that I
Yeah.
sent you? How are they? You liking them?
Yeah, I like them a lot. I've done them for 2 days, and then I'm also incorporating weights and stuff into it as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Awesome.
Um, yeah, and like, yeah, I like the feeling of them because it's like my muscles are aching so much, but it's like it opens up my whole body, if that makes sense. Like all my
Mm-hmm.
joints and hinges feel
Mm-hmm.
like they're like cracking and like opening up in new ways, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you like the Spider-Man push-ups?
Yeah, those are tough. Because I have like this kind of like, I think I should do them probably in the living room because there's like not much space here. So I've been just going forward with them and backwards with them in this area.
Mm.
So, but yeah, I like them. I think they're super interesting. I really want to gain the upper body strength where I can do like single-handed push-ups. I think that like hopefully
Yeah.
that happens with time.
The Spider-Man push-ups, they're gonna work on like your delts and shit. You know,
Yeah.
you get some
I
delt.
love how calisthenics, like how it works the scapula a lot.
Mm.
And like normally like certain workouts, they don't really
Reach.
mess with the shoulder blades a lot. They kind of just, they leave it out
Mm-hmm.
almost, but in calisthenics it's like paying much more attention to that and like paying attention to slowing down the push up and things like that. I was also doing the boat. I don't know if you know that kind of well, like holding your body like a boat with your legs up and just like straight. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's a really good one. Like it's almost like a plank where you're just like your body's like this, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you're holding it
Yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. It's like a V,
that's such a good one. It's like a V exactly, yeah.
a wide V.
It's, it's so good. It's like it just feels powerful, you know what I mean? Like it's like a powerful motion. And the warrior pose as well. I love that with the lunges because
Mm-hmm.
that feels like incorporating a bit of yoga into the movements
Mm-hmm.
just keeps like a sense of like a instead of like a delay time or like, recovery time, I feel like the yoga, if I incorporate much more yoga in between the transition movements, right? It like it makes it a lot more powerful. Like it just
Definitely.
makes it like the stretching just helps the body to, you know, heal faster or something like that. Like
Yeah, yeah,
those,
definitely. I definitely see that. Um, I put a lot of thought into it. There's like more workouts, like more different variations and different and stuff like that. But I specifically put everything together for the purpose of movement, right?
yeah.
Your sacral chakra has to do with movement, right?
Mm,
And your root chakra has to do with like stillness, right? So
mm.
one's like stiff, right? And
Stillness, yeah.
one of them is like movement. So there's like you're kind of like not I don't use the word forcing, but you're just opening up your body in new ways that you
Yeah,
weren't doing before,
that's what
right?
I thought, yeah.
And I think that's something that's so important for transcendence, right?
Mm,
Because you're gonna have to move in ways that you've never moved before, and it's gonna
yeah,
look it's sometimes what I as you're integrating your new self and your higher self and uh, um um uh, as you're taking more responsibility for yourself, it's gonna get projected onto the world, and there are many
mm,
people that I mean maybe they feel like they can't control you as much anymore. Like they don't have control over you anymore.
I
You
felt
know?
that recently. Yeah,
Yeah. Or people either they suddenly think that because you're suddenly a better version of yourself, that you think that you're better than them, and
yeah,
that you're like arrogant for being so free and comfortable with yourself. You
yeah,
know?
I've
And
experienced that too.
yeah, that's the kind of shit that's happening a lot. I've been feeling it like a shit ton the other night. I had
Yeah,
like this
man.
overwhelming feeling of like anger and like cry because like I think
Bro,
possibly
this is so weird how our like emotions synchronize. Like that, I felt the exact same thing, bro.
yeah.
But it was through a trance with Vince Kelvin where I just like
Okay.
started to feel that anger and like tears come up. And I was like,
Hmm.
what the heck is this? What's happening right now? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it was because I just feel like possibly around between 70 and 80% of the people that know me and that I know like dislike me, and they
Mm.
don't just dislike me a little, and includes members of my family and members of my relative, my what do you call it? I mean, my household and shit, who like don't even know me, you know what I mean? And that's the
Yeah.
thing, they don't even know me, even my parents, they don't even know me, straight up. They don't even know. I've lived with them for 18 plus years, in their house somewhat. I'm 22 now, obviously, so I'm like taking out the time where I didn't live in there. 18,
Yeah.
something like that. They don't know who I am. They know things that I've done.
Mm.
Doesn't mean they know who I am. What moves me? What drives me? What pushes me? Right? What bothers me? Right?
Yeah.
Why do I do what I do? What's my why? And
Yeah.
just people, they haven't taken the time to get to know, who the deeper you is.
Yeah.
That's something
Yeah.
that you have to learn to be okay with. You have to learn to be okay with being disliked and not cowarding to their level of consciousness.
Yeah. Yeah, I do feel that, man. But sometimes, I see so many people around me that's not like me, and I start to feel a bit like I'm like, when
Alone.
I start like being like, oh, these people, like I lower my consciousness as well as I start doing that. You know what I mean? So I just think that, we're freaking like what we're doing for the planet. We're like superheroes. You know what I mean?
Dude,
Compared
yes,
to,
dude.
like
Yes,
straight up,
straight
like
up.
compared to other people, like we're actually like we're like something out of X-Men that you'd see. You know what I mean? Not like regular people. So of course people are gonna react to that, and be like who are these people? What are they doing? Like, and gain that kind of like momentum. And what you said about opening up the body and like exploring the body, getting you to feel much more freedom within it, and then getting people to notice that freedom and then getting triggered because they don't have that freedom, right? Again, I'm doing it again, right? It's like they don't have the freedom, like, but the thing is, like, it's true, right? It's like seeing someone so liberated can make someone who's not liberated start to question their own liberation.
It's kind of like I'll give an example of myself. When I was really insecure about my height and I'd see a tall dude, I'd like start hating on him, like just for no fucking reason other than he was just a demonstration of what I didn't have.
That's also a shadow work thing, right? When you're like
For sure.
noticing these things. Yeah.
I mean,
I used to always used to be triggered by like guys who looked like the generic like captain of the football team, like jock, like blonde guys, like the archetype that I'm talking about. Kind of like Fred from Scooby-Doo, you know what I mean? Like that archetype. Like I would get so triggered by those guys because it must have been related to some event or some bullying thing that I'd experienced probably when I was a kid. But like I just noticed it is so unconscious. I'm like, why am I annoyed at this guy? Like it just makes no sense. But then I started to reflect on it, and it was like related to like childhood, moments with these a similar kind of guy or like some memory based on this. So totally, man, I totally get that.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we have to start seeing as a collective, is that you're just a reflection of me, and the way that I see you is just a reflection of my inner mind. The way that I treat you is just a reflection of my inner mind.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It just is. Okay.
Yeah. All hate is self-hate, right?
No, I don't think so, dog. Definitely not. I don't think so. Like, I'll tell you why I believe that. It's going to be a short example. Let's just say I'm in the jungle, right? I'm camping out in the jungle. I'm on my honeymoon, right? With my girl. And a fucking, I don't know, let's just say some big fucking tough animal comes in there, tries to fuck shit up. I'm going to try to fuck up that animal too, right? That anger. I'm going to, use my aggression, my anger, right? As a way of displaying, it's sort of at the same time, it is a display of love. It's a projection of my love at the same time, because I want to keep this person that's around me safe.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So that would be that wouldn't be an example of hate though. You know what I mean? Like I'm talking about like people who hate on others for like no apparent reason, or like, they're just mad at themselves, and so they're projecting that hatred on. So that's kind of what I meant by that statement. Yeah, that's out of love for what you described, like protecting the loved one from an animal. All love is self-love too, I believe. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drip. Love.
That's right.
Welcome to ASMR, the Better Man podcast.
Splash, splash, drip, drip.
Cash, lit.
Awesome.
What, water ripple. Make a splash.
Yeah.
Get your bag, get your own.
Yeah.
And she keeps sucking on my toes. Those
are the lyrics, bro.
That's Sumed's song, everybody. By the way, that's Sumed's song. You can check out the music video. It's called Splash Splash.
Drip drip, yeah.
That's,
Splash
okay.
splash drip. It's called splash splash drip drip. Yeah, it's like a Futurama, like me with a Futurama head in the thumbnail, so that's how you can find it. With wearing Ivan's hat, with a Gucci scarf.
Oh yeah, Louis scarf, homie.
Oh Louis word. Yeah, it was.
It was a cool day. It was a really cool day.
Yeah.
Not like it was like cold, but like, you know, like a cool.
Right.
Like the sun was out, but it wasn't out too much. You know, it was like cool.
Yeah.
I'm just being.
Man, have you ever? This is so random, but have you ever like heard any of Montauk Chia's stuff? Do you know who he is?
Not at all.
Not at all. So Montauk Chia is this guy who talks about like multiple male orgasm, right? And basically, he's the guy like who talks
I know what you're
about
talking
like
about. I know what you're talking about.
yeah, he's like the sexual kung fu guy, right? So basically, what he says is that sunlight has a direct ability. So this may sound really weird to the listeners of this podcast. I just want to give a disclaimer right here, so no one freak out for this. But basically, he says that if you open your asshole and have the sunlight come in, right?
Yeah.
It gives you like a charge of prana or chi.
Real. It's a bit strange for sure.
It's really strange, bro. And I was hearing this, and this was on London Real, right? And he was saying this, and like Brian Rose was just like, "Oh, really?"
He pulled his pants down. He pulled his pants down the set. Like this? Like this? Am I doing it right? And the guy just kind of went. He went kame, just like shot it in there.
Shot sunlight in it, bruh. That's a weird anime. That's moving into a hentai, more of an anime. Bro, don't do that TikTok thing where you're like,
Bro, they copying me, bro. I'm the king of smoldering. I got
they didn't even know it. Much as us. Oh my gosh, man. So what were you originally talking about? Oh yeah, Lightworkers. So
yeah.
You know, the people who want to get into the fifth density, fifth dimension, you know, fifth 5D, right?
Mm-hmm.
From away from 5G. What I would definitely say is a big part of it is heart coherence. So basically, I want you guys to imagine it like this. Your heart is like a remote control, right? And it controls all these TV channels. But for some people, their perception is very limited. It's like one of those hotels where like you get only one channel working on the TV. You know what I mean? Like some hotels, you have to pay for the other channels or some shit. So it's sort of like that, right? People's perception is very skewed in on one reality, and they think that's the only reality. Whereas we live in a world of infinite possibilities and parallel universes, and we can quantum jump, right? So if people come together as a collective consciousness now, and they really start to imagine the type of planet that we want, imagine the type of, you know, not a utopia, because a utopia is a term which describes like an ideal scenario. It's almost a fantasy term. I want you to just imagine like a really dope, like an amazing planet, right? Just to live on. Because I feel that once our hearts kind of connect on the same frequency for certain people, and we all rise together and ascend together as light workers, that's really what's going to help the collective move forward. So change the TV channel to the same channel altogether, and basically use your mind to create and use your heart to desire. And together, having that synergy between heart and mind, that's how we can manifest faster. But that's just my opinion.
I personally would say that desire is in your sacral chakra. Yeah.
I guess yeah, it's kind of lower, but then it like you can make it rise into your heart. You know what I
You
mean?
gotta
So it's
use
like
you gotta use all your chakras, man. You gotta use all your chakras.
true.
5D consciousness. Oh yeah. Also realize it's an illusion. It's an illusion. This is all an illusion. You're in a dream. You're asleep, right? Um, because check this out.
I feel like people
So
can take that in a dark way
a
too. It's like
lucid
it's
dream. Well, I'll explain. A lucid dream is where you're able to control your dream. You have control over the dream, right? So in a
yeah.
way, you have to be awake while you're asleep in order to be able to do that.
Mm,
In this more physical reality, what is generalized as the physical reality, a lot of people are moving unconsciously and just following the old patterns that were
yeah.
pre-established for them. And it is only then when they awaken that they're able to make conscious decisions in this reality.
Yeah.
So when you start to realize that a dream is just like being in the real life, you start to
Mm,
realize that this too is a dream,
yeah.
right? And you're somewhere else, right?
Hashtag lucid dreamers. Let's go.
You know, you're somewhere else, homie,
Yeah.
and you're also right here. And just realize, like, I mean, it's an illusion. Like, I mean, like, we know that
That
this is nothingness. We know that we're made from atoms, and we know that there's nothing inside of atoms, and atoms are mainly just empty space. So you're just fucking empty space. You're nothing. You're
yeah.
nothing, right? And that's a good thing, to be nothing.
So you know in Hinduism they have the Om symbol, right? So like the little mark like this that goes like this, that's kind of seen as like the
Mm,
veil
Maya.
of yeah, Maya, the veil of illusion, right? So the truth is here, but it's like the veil of illusion is covered. So that's kind of like similar to what you're saying in terms of this. It's like there's a veil, like there's this illusion and everything, like they believe in Maya, but also Lila is like play, so it's like, you know, everything's kind of like
Yeah.
it's a playground, right? It's for
Mhm.
your own exploring and like gaining much more
Mhm.
like discovery in this world. So I think
Mhm.
that yeah, I think that people can take this in a dark way, like, oh, it's all an illusion, I might as well just do whatever I want and fuck shit up for everybody else, you know. But also certain people who realize like it's an illusion. I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna add
Mhm.
value. I'm gonna have a good time. You know, like I'm gonna, you know, leave this place a lot better. This hologram a lot better than when I
Mhm.
left it. I think that that's a like a key difference is, again, the perception or the lens of consciousness that you're looking at this matrix from. So
Yeah.
like if I'm like
Yeah.
5D goggles, you know.
5D goggles. I feel like I have to like really hypnotize myself. Like I've been hypnotizing myself, you know, like I wake up at 5 a.m. And Arash
Mm.
kind of mentioned it and I wasn't doing it, but then I listened to like next day Robin Sharma fucking podcast
5 a.m. club,
on
yeah.
the what is it? The School of Greatness podcast with Lewis Howes, ex NFL pro football player, interviewing the writer
Yeah,
of the monk who sold his Ferrari and the best New York Times selling book, The 5 a.m. Club, came onto the podcast and he said, if
yeah.
you wake up at 5 p.m., I mean, at 5 a.m., you little bitch. He didn't say that shit. He basically said, like, the greatest leaders of the world, you know, that's a habit that they have. And I was like,
Yeah.
that's me. I'm one of the greatest leaders in the world. So,
Dash me.
you know, I was like, I'm gonna wake up at 5, you know.
Actually, here in India, it's like a common custom to wake up with the sunrise, and that's kind of like
Well, 5 a.m. is before the sun, at least here. Here
yeah.
it goes on around like 7-ish. You start seeing it like bright.
Mm. So yeah, it's like a lot of people wake up here like 4:30. I notice it. I can hear people's like doing chanting and stuff outside when I wake up that early. So yeah, it's definitely a thing. I think yeah, it's just you get also like I remember that one time, that one day where we woke up super early when you were in India, and then we went for that. It was like a tour around the temples and stuff, and
Oh
it
yeah.
felt like the day was so long, bro. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, this day is so long. Like it was like 12, it was like noon, and I was like, I already lived like a whole day. Like that's what it felt like to me.
Mm-hmm.
But the only thing is, like, I felt super tired by the end of that day too, which is kind of a good
That's
thing.
good. Yeah, that's good.
If you're tired, that's a compliment. Oh, you look tired. Thank you. Means you're working
Maybe.
hard, or you're doing
Maybe.
something. I don't know. I guess if it's a chronic illness and you're fatigued, that's not good, right? But if you're like in the gym and you're like, you look tired, and you're like, yeah, yes I am.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what I
cool.
mean?
You show like I put it all in, you know. I put it all in. Another
Exactly.
reason that I wake up at 5 a.m. This is the more mystical answer for any of you spiritual folks out there, which is probably everyone who's listening to this episode.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
our 2,000 fans manifesting is because the moon is gone away and the sun is coming in. And there's that transitioning point where the moon is not there and the sun is also not there, right? This is a point of magic, right? This is where you can create.
Whoa, I haven't thought of it like that, bro. It's almost like the S in the yin and yang, right? It's like that period of
Ooh, yeah,
subconscious to
dude.
conscious, or like, yeah, it's like
And
so
you know what?
powerful.
You know what
Male and
Arash
female
said?
too. What did he say?
Arash, our mentor, he said, you must meet a woman in between the yin and the yang.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Damn,
that's
damn,
deep as
damn.
fuck, homie.
That's so
That's
deep.
deep as fuck.
Yeah. I think we could give this little section on the podcast on the Instagram.
Yeah.
Uh,
Might be cool.
yin and yang.
Um, so in that sense, you're kind of transcending the yin and the yang, and you're just
No,
ang.
non-duality.
I don't even
You're
know
just
what to
Aang
say.
from Avatar. You're just Aang. Aang is probably sitting there like, who called my name?
Something like that.
I can't do his voice, man. But
Yeah,
it's
it
probably something
didn't sound
similar
like
to
it,
that.
man. It really didn't sound like it. Just stick to coaching, man. The voice acting thing, it's not gonna work out for you.
I try so hard and
It
get
gets
so
so
far.
far, but in the end, I feel like that sometimes. I feel like that. I feel like that has happened to me so much, and I've integrated that into my reality. Where I only, like the song says, I tried so much. I put it all in. I gave all my energy in there. I poured it, and I poured some more, and no return was coming back. So I continued to pour some more, and still nothing, leaving me empty.
The end.
So that's something for me that I personally have to I'm still doing that aspect of shifting that aspect of like my past and learning to not define myself, by my experiences
Yeah.
and learning. I mean, in general, like all of my experiences, the good and the bad ones, I just it's a bit hard for me to be able to not be associated with my actions or my thoughts or my experiences because it's all I've ever known. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, it's just like taking everything that you've ever known and saying, okay, bye.
Mm.
Now I'm going to be in the present moment, because Eckhart Tolle, you know,
Yeah.
like, it's a bit tough, homie.
It is tough. Yeah.
The spiritual shit ain't for the weak.
For real. For real. Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, like, the past, we automatically accept it as truth as well. Right. And so I feel that a lot of people who are like coming in terms with their past, or like they've got to understand, like, practicing dropping it at every moment. And like I've had to learn that the hard way, to empty the cup completely when I'm learning from a mentor, or when I'm, doing something, because I'm like, oh, I have all these old teachings about psychology and like game and like all these things coming in, and I want to integrate, I want to combine them and like, add so much more value by combining them. But sometimes, like, some of the teachings are lost if you're coming from a different filter, right? So yeah, just practicing dropping a completely blank slate. Again, like, some people say you're not starting from scratch, you're starting from experience, which I would agree. But there is a value to that blank canvas as well. I think it's just like dropping
Yeah.
everything at the drop of a hat and then starting
Oh.
again. Like, every day is a new day. You know what I mean? So.
This actually golf coach was saying that it's easier to take a beginner into a very high level than it is to say, take someone who's been working at it for a while by themselves and get them to move higher and grow faster at a faster level,
Right.
because the other person thinks they already know it.
Yeah. In martial arts, they call it shoshin, or beginner's mind. Beginner's mind. So if you don't have beginner's mind, if you're still like, I'm the master, then you're never learning, right? So it's like, be a student of life, keep learning. Better mindset to have.
Yeah, good stuff, man. I think it's a good place to
Word.
shift,
No.
transition.
So let's manifest, man. Let's manifest a better reality.
Hey, I want to close this off with a little prayer.
Sure.
You guys can just relax where you are. Your hands by your side or on your lap. May the people gathered here today by this broadcast connect deeper to their most authentic self. In this moment of rapid change and destruction and growth, you have no challenge other than yourself. You are only competing with your belief system. Right now, make the choice to create the world you want. Peace out, homies. Leave us a review. I mean, if you guys found value in what we do, I mean, I certainly thought we said some pretty cool stuff. And it makes me upset whenever whenever I don't receive, because I feel like it's a depletion of me, you know? But at the same time, it's like give without expectation, right?
I noticed that too.
But it's like, you know, it's that paradox of like, well, how much can I give, and when can and like, you know, how much can I give, and how much, like, what's my limit of giving, you know?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. In truth, it feels like it is unlimited. You know what this is reminding me of also is like to not give likes to random people's posts on Instagram. Like
Yeah.
that's, you know what I mean? Like we like posts all the time, but that's actually
Don't just
depleting
go
our energies. Yeah, we just go
to,
like, and that's actually taking and depleting like our energy, our own energy towards giving it to someone else. And so like really, really being mindful of those choices, like who we're sending love to, hearts to, you know, for real.
all right, homies. I love y'all. Even if you
Peace and
think I
love.
don't. Peace and love.
Gang, gang, buzz, buzz.
I'm Batman.
If you would like to contact Sumed for peak performance coaching, go to @FlowZone Academy on Instagram. That's FLOZONE Academy. If you would like to connect to your higher self, contact Ivan at odd.resilience. That's ODD.resilience. Also, make sure you follow the Better Man podcast on Instagram. See you next time.